Historically, politics has been defined as civil deliberation on public policy issues. In recent years, politics appears to have been redefined as the art of war. Civil discourse has given way to the combat in the form of misinformation, lies, incivility, and the destruction of one's opponent. As professionals, we have a responsibility to change this unhealthy environment and move in a direction that is constructive for Stoughton's future. I know from our discussions and your published materials that we have much in common. We each acknowledge the importance of improvement in our civil discourse. Today, I am asking that we engage in an open discussion on ways that each of us will help elevate debate on all of the important challenges and opportunities facing our town. I will serve as host. I look forward to hearing each of your views on these important issues. I prepared the following questions for open discussion. Please feel free to bring this macro discussion in any direction you choose. My questions are simply to be a discussion and guide the agenda. Hello everyone, I'm here with Lori Jacques. The other Select Board candidates accepted the invitation, but something must have come up, something very important, and they're not here. So we'll just jump right into our questions. No matter how the Select Board race ends, this is a memorable event that 4 women are running for the seats of Select Board. What are your thoughts about that, Lori?
I mean, I love it. I think it's amazing. I think the other night when we were on the League of Women Voters forum, and all of the candidates who were on that forum were women, I just think that that is amazing, and it really shows that Stoughton is accepting of diversity. They want representation. They want diversity of thought. I really think that it's exciting.
I think so too, and I'm agreeing with everything that you're saying, and I can't help but to express, it gives an indication that Stoughton is progressive, that women want to have a voice. Now early on, when I first ran, it was another female running for a seat, and I felt proud at that moment. I felt proud, we have a police chief that's a female. I feel proud that we previously had a town manager that was a female. And it's not a male-female thing, it's just a way of thinking about, hey, it's women. Women are stepping up because we have a view, we have a perspective, and to me, it's a sign of being progressive.
I mean, I'm really hopeful that at one point, we're not sitting here having a conversation about how great it is that there are 4 women who are, the final candidates. That, people are just looking at how we think about the issues that are happening in town.
Absolutely.
And they like what they're seeing coming from women.
That's right.
As I have 2 young daughters, I often think about how can I make this world a better place for them when they it's their time to be out in the real world.
That's right, absolutely. I kind of reflect on June 13th, we're having the grand opening of the train station, which is now our community center, and we're going to have words or videos that we're going to save in a time capsule. I would like this video to be one of the submissions. So 50 years from now, whatever, they'll see, hey, this is the year that they had 4 women running for the seats.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it's so great.
It is. It really is. It really is. And as I sit here the day before, I'm taking my girls to the Boston is premiering a women's soccer league.
No
so
way.
We're going to the inaugural game tomorrow. So again, I think just in general, it's progressing, right?
Yes.
We're moving in the right direction, certainly, in my opinion.
Stoughton is great. Let's just jump to another question that we had regarding what are your thoughts and ideas on how we can engage the greater Stoughton community so that our whole town sets an example for other municipalities?
I mean, I think this is where we truly have a lot of opportunity. And I think it's also so overwhelming at the same time. We have a community, and as I go and I connect with residents, and just the things that people don't know, they don't have any idea as to what's happening, and that's definitely something that I think we need to work towards. There's no perfect way to do it.
No, nothing is perfect.
Correct.
Yeah.
I work in an industry where I'm charged with engaging our alumni. I work at a university in Boston, and that is one of the hardest things to make sure that people know what is happening with the institution, right?
That's
so
right.
Same thing here, but I do think there are some easy ways. It's really about getting the accurate information out
Yes.
to the community. Social media is not always the best path to getting it. It works, it does what it needs to do, but it also creates misinformation, and that's what spreads, and then it turns into a bigger issue when all is said and done.
So like the SMAC cable network is one, the town website would be
Yes.
another
A big
way
one.
that we could drive people to the website to get accurate information. Maybe we could plant the seed. We need a newspaper or some information that is factual. It is checked for facts before it's distributed, because that's what reporters do. We could use something like that. But we really don't have a newspaper or a radio station or any other means that larger communities have that we could kind of learn from, like our university. Yeah.
I also think that there's opportunity to inform our residents about the different committees that are happening
Yes.
in town. That to me is, as I've started to become more involved, in learning about that and where there's interest. I recently just joined the 300th anniversary committee for the town.
Yay!
So yeah, exciting. That
It's our year.
Yes, it is. It is, and they're doing wonderful things.
Oh yes, I've heard.
A lot of activity that's happening.
Yes.
But to me, I just kind of heard about it. Actually, heard about it at Stoughton Day. I ran into some of the committee members, and that's how I got involved. Right.
Yes.
So it's trying to find opportunities where residents can learn more about what those committees are.
Yes.
And exactly what they're doing,
Yes.
and how they can get involved as well
Yes.
too. I mean, I will say this about the town. There's always the public presence at the meetings that happen, and an opportunity for our residents to ask questions and make comments and whatnot, and that is great. But I also think that there are other ways that we need to figure out how we can connect.
Yeah, maybe it's we need to develop like a think tank. People that can organize informally and come up with ideas of how to share the information and how to get involved. And to know that even if you don't have an expertise in a certain area, but you have an interest, like in planning, like in economic development, or some people that we can partner you with so they can kind of mentor you. And you won't feel like you're out there on an island all by yourself. I've been a town meeting rep, and somebody did me the same way. So I felt very comfortable, and that's why I was sharing that maybe that's a way what we could do. Have an informal group get together and start thinking about things like that.
I also think when new residents come to town, so I've lived in Stoughton for 13 years, so I think most people would probably say I'm on the newer side. But when, coming into town, knowing that our town is our legislative body is town meeting. That
Yes.
is how we make our decisions within
Right.
town.
That's our form
And
of
getting
government, right?
Exactly, and what the select board does, but kind of having a welcome packet, a digital welcome packet, if you will. Like,
Yes.
what do I need to know moving into this community?
Yes.
And how can we better highlight the small businesses, all the businesses that are in community? There's been a lot of conversation about downtown and what
Yeah.
we can do for the businesses there, and I think it's something that we need to continue to think about.
Yeah.
But how can we better highlight them and
Yes.
get the word out about them so that people know that they're there?
Yeah, absolutely. You are hitting on the same points I would hit on.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Lori. And for our final question is, in your opinion, what do you view as the single most significant opportunity or the most serious challenge facing our town? Opportunity or challenge?
Well, I will touch on both, and I will touch quickly on opportunity, because for me, I think it does come down to the biggest opportunity is how we can engage our residents, how we can truly be more, how can we generate more community within town? And I think it's right for the doing, right? We can certainly figure that out and get more people involved. I'd like to think that part of why I'm here and why I've decided to run for select board is because I represent a part of the community that maybe don't feel like they have that representation. With what our families going through in town,
Yeah.
and how can I better do that and bring them kind of along for the ride and get them more involved and connected. And I certainly know that has happened a lot recently. So that's part of what I'm hoping to do. So I think that is one of the biggest opportunities that we have in this community. And then I would say, from my perspective, one of the biggest challenges is the fact that we have an aging infrastructure, and how do we manage that without creating this tax burden for our residents, right? So, as you know, I was involved in the new elementary school building.
Absolutely.
And that it was something that we needed in the town.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we actually got to that point. I think there's some tough decisions that need to be made, but if we're going to set this town in the right direction for future generations, we need to start looking at that. And I know the assistant town manager, Mark Tisdale, has put together a capital plan, which I think is great, and we need to get the schools into that plan so that we are looking at it holistically. But I do think that's one of the biggest challenges that we need to look at, and of course taking into consideration our senior citizens along the way, and tax implications there too. So, that's what I would call our biggest challenge.
Yes, I think you're right on point. I would have started, for me, if I asked the question, it would have been affordability in the town. But I think the biggest challenge the town is facing is misinformation.
Yes.
If, there's so many instances where, as a current select board member, we have given information, factual information. My tagline is facts are friendly, because we're doing our research and we're trying to make sure the town stays informed, that's all the citizens. And then, other information comes out that is not factual. It's like, but wait a minute. We have the documents to prove that what we're saying is factual. So it's the misinformation and making sure that everyone, all the citizens, have the facts so they can make a decision, the same decision a reasonably prudent person would make. So it's the misinformation, I think, is our biggest challenge. And how can we change that with the town? And maybe that's another thing about having this think tank, as you know, it kind of rolls into our previous question, how we can do better, how we can improve things. And it's not just the voice of one, but it's all of us collectively coming together. Like, so we go back to the first question, no matter how this race ends, we should still be able to work together and improve the town. Misinformation and the challenges you're stating that you see as the biggest challenge of the town, you know, all of those things should come together.
And I think I think when it comes down to it, people just want to be heard and feel heard.
Yes.
And
yes.
and a lot of misinformation, which I agree with. I completely agree with that point. But a lot of misinformation can be remedied by having those conversations.
That's right.
And going back, social media is not the place where you do that.
Right.
It is where you find out what the pulse of the community.
That's right.
But I do think a lot of it comes down to having those conversations.
I think so
and
too.
I do that every day in my job.
Yes, you do.
Having,
Yes.
Answering the tough questions, responding when there's issues and challenges.
Yes.
And, it really, people just want to feel like they're a part of something, that they are heard, and that they know what's going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So going back to something that you said before about the aging population and just other things, and we could take like the cost of a capital plan. We could talk about our stabilization fund. We could just go on and talk about how that's improved. Well, those are business issues that can be correctable. They can be corrected, like the price of or the cost of the new South Elementary School. Business issue that can be corrected. Misinformation, it needs a little work. It needs some work.
It does.
And I'm ready to tackle that.
Well, and I think that's also where the website, the town, something as simple as getting the information out on the town website, right? Where people know that this is the one place I can go to find the facts.
Yes.
And being able to figure out where to find the facts on that website, right? So
Yes.
making it easy for individuals to maneuver through it. Because I know, trust me, I put my kids to bed at night, I go downstairs and I sit on the sofa, and that's when I do what I need to do, right? Get the information that I need to find. I'm that person who's going to a website at 10 o'clock at night when no one is there to answer the questions that I have, right? That's where I need to find that information. And I think if there's that portal or that hub where it's easy for them to do that, it's certainly going to help. So that what I saw on Facebook the other day, let me go check it out and see if that is in line with what is truly happening in town, or if there's a different perspective that maybe isn't as correct and accurate.
Sounds like a winner to me. So Stoughton, you've heard from us, and I hope you found this to be very informative to you. Please vote on April 7th. That's Tuesday, April 7th. Your vote is your voice. Please vote April 7th. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you, Debra, for having me.
Thank you so much, Laurie.